But that's good that you are. So, this is what we have now.
The part of creating.
Exactly. I don't think you need to create 1,000 times. You just need to do it. So what's this? This is the we have only one JavaScript file. So this is the whole magic is happening here. There is this file and there is this public index.html. So we have a JavaScript file and an HTML file. CSS, it's out of scope. So you can see here that we are importing. So are you familiar with the import export syntax?
Yeah, we did it with the node scaffolder that.
Yeah, so you know that import from another file and export, so you can make it available in another file. Cool. So here we are importing three things. React DOM, and this file, index.css. You will tell me it's a bit weird. We're importing CSS file inside JavaScript. That's
but anyway.
Yes, that's a bit weird. I will tell you something. When you import this, there is React Create App or Webpack. There is some tools here. It will see that it is CSS file, and it will extract it to a separate CSS file.
So it's the same thing if we do index link on the index.
Precisely. It's doing that for you. It's doing like link and stuff, but you just do it here with JavaScript easy. Make sense? So you can also divide your CSS files instead of having one giant, big one. It's useful. Okay, but there is nothing magic here. There is a loader here that when this file will be loaded, it will just like extract it to a separate CSS file. Make sense? No. So yeah, I think it's better if I will. No, I will just increase the font size. It's better instead of doing it on every file.
Here, font size. So
Yeah. Is it better? Or more? It's fine, don't worry.
it's better.
Cool. Now it's everywhere like this.
For recording thing.
No, it looks so big, but I feel like I'm doing this. H1. So this is the CSS file we discussed. There is two other imports, React and React DOM. If we go to package.json, in the dependencies we have React and React DOM. This is React script. It's the thing that it's running. So when you say run start and the .css file, this is something that is running all the things. It's out of scope. What's really important for us is these two, React and React DOM. Okay, these two libraries. We are importing them. So what's the purpose of each library? So React is a library for defining components. So you can build your components, the components that we discussed, that you can build here. Okay? Define header, video, classes with classes and stuff. But these components are not real components. They are just classes or descriptors for what you want to show. Who's responsible for actually taking these components and displaying them to the browser? It's React DOM. So React DOM is taking, so if you remember when we had React create element and stuff? So React create element will not create real element. Okay, so if I will say const x equal okay, I will say console.log x. Am I not saving the file or what?
Refresh.
I've already refreshed. I hate this.
Can we use the Nodem on
No. The Webpack
do
has.
we do it automatically to
No, Webpack has.
refresh it?
Webpack has. Sorry, React Script has its own thing. We have refresh, but the problem is not the refresh. The problem is much bigger than that. Why this thing is not? So this is running, but this is not running. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
For some reasons, I don't know. So you can see here that this X, it's the P, but it's not the P that it's from the browser. It's an object with key, props, ref. Okay? So this will not produce real DOM elements, like a real P. It will just like produce, I want to render a P. But React DOM is taking that P and make it whole like really browser P. You get the idea? So React is for creating components. It's like creating the schema. Like I want a room there and stuff, but when you want to build it, React DOM is responsible for that. Make sense? The difference between the two packages? But you will tell me why it's not one, like every other library, like Vue and like Angular, they have one library. Why two? Yeah. Because React targets other platforms except then the browser. So you will have React, and if you want to build a mobile app, you will have React and something called React Native instead of React DOM. And React Native will take the same P here, but it will not make it a DOM element. It will make it native Android thing or native iOS thing. And you can even run the PDFs and stuff and things. This is why they have separate things. So you can have the same component. So you can have video list, but you can put the video list inside a PDF, inside the mobile app, inside the web. So different things are responsible for, just to give you clear a bit. You don't need to understand it, but this is why. This is for defining components, and this is for actually making these components real to the browser. And we can import other things, so we can make it real to the. We can even build native applications like mobile apps and stuff by making the P not a P tag, but a text node in Android and stuff.
I don't know. I wasn't following if you explained why we have both of them and not just React DOM.
Because React is responsible for creating components. You extend it with the class, and you define a component that returns a P and stuff, or something like this.
But you cannot do it just.
But this
with
P,
React DOM?
this P is just an object. It's a description of what I need to render. So who's responsible of taking this and converting it to a DOM real P tag? Is React DOM.
And that might make it probably make it EV even if you want to use .x somewhere else because it's not rendered.
What do you
yet.
mean .x?
You know the x, the constant, the variable x.
This is just like a tag.
Yeah,
The tag
I
is-
mean, in this case, you have created this variable called tag. Now you is an object.
Yeah.
That means you can use it as a called I don't know object somewhere in your file before you render it.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can use it in a lot of places. When you are done, React will take everything and put it into the DOM. Clear?
Why you do YARN stuff?
I use Yarn. It's the same like API, but it's the same as API. Just experimenting with something. Yes, it's working. So this is why we have two packages. So if someone will ask you why we have two packages, because we need to create components, and after that these components are not real, they are classes. Something needs to convert them to DOM elements, real browser things, Ps that we show them inside the DOM, which is the role of React. Okay? So let's start creating our own component. Let's say I will create a new file here. I will call it, we already have sort, which is component.js. Okay? I will define a class, but before I need to import React. I will say class, which is component. Can we name it something?
Whatever. like header or something.
Okay. Extends React.component. And what's really needed is to define a render method inside it.
And then we can.
Is the method of the React component render?
Yes. So we need this render so React can call it and return whatever you want to display. So I will say here, I'll say just div so I don't confuse you. And I will say after that, h1, hello to my site. Website.
So you're getting your HTML.
Yes.
If we give the ID to the H1, then we can style it in a CS.
Precisely. Like normal styles. Here. If we're saying body, we can say it.
Okay.
There is nothing inside that is really confusing with CSS or anything.
Or you can easily embed that CSS here as well. But that's a different thing.
Yeah. Like as we are going, you can like I think everyone here is using different CSS solution. No one agrees on so we can discuss like what we are doing. But that's out of scope for now. We are trying to learn the course.
I think that here you didn't import the React down because you're not using it here.
I will explain.
Okay.
So now I need to export default header. Okay.
Okay. What do you use default? What's the default means?
I will show you. So here I will import my file. I will name it header. From its component. It should be named header. I will rename it header.
No. That's good.
No, like I will not name it like it's long. So now it's header. So you asked me about what's the difference between default and not the default import. So simply, if you say you cannot do that, you need to do this. If you say like this, or export default header, this is the two options that you have, kind of. Default means that you can just write it like this. So it's like the default. But if you want to import multiple stuff, you can put header, test1, 3. So you can import multiple stuff here. These are not the default. These are named exports. But the default is just something that you put here straight away. It's a default export. Every module has one default export or none.
You mean that we can in the headers JS we can define a lot.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, export const x equal 5. Okay.
Oh, so it doesn't say just one class. It's maybe.
I can say x here. I can import x. So this is the difference between name and export and default export. Name and export, I need to give them a name specifically. So here I can name this like header 3. It doesn't matter because this references the default export. So there is no relation between this name and this name.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the default one. Okay. Is it clear a bit?
Yeah, but what you said now, I mean, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, probably
In which
I
sense?
didn't understand it. But you said when you said default, and you have one called, you know.
Yeah. I would name this, for example, like
just
my cool header.
Okay.
Or
Just
just
do like this. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're exporting that default. When you write it alone, you can change the name here. It will take the same. I mean, you will take the same class.
I can do this.
No,
My
it
cool
says
header?
make my cool header 1. Oh, okay. Oh, you change. Okay. Yeah, so it will take
Yes.
header because it's at default.
It's default.
Okay. But if you don't do default,
If you
you
do
have to write it the same way you use it.
exactly,
Okay.
it's called name export,
Okay.
and you need to use the curly braces like this to import.
Yeah, like not.
Please comment and don't delete them.
Comment what?
Comment the lines, don't delete them because we want to use them.
Okay, so I would say const x equal 5.
Yeah.
Export.
But this doesn't have to be a constant, it could be another class. You
Yeah.
could also say export class.
Could be anything. You can export anything, literally.
Yeah.
Clear? So we have the header here. it's a component that returns hello to my website and stuff. So I want to display it here instead of this shitty hello. Okay. So here I can replace it. So I will just do header like this or like this because it's self-closed type. So just to not confuse people, I can write something like this and they can write it like this. If it doesn't have any children, I can just like it's self-closed type, like the image type.
Yeah.
You close it straight away because it doesn't have anything inside it. So this is the thing. So now if I will save hello to my website. So we just created a React component
So you
and render it to the DOM.
so in your index.html you will have a
I will jump to that just a second. I will jump to the and after that you can save this question.
because
I will jump to the how we are building it and stuff. So the idea here is like why React DOM? Why we are not reading React DOM here and why we are needing it here? Because here we are just building the components. I have header, I have room here, I have room there, and this connected to this, and this connected to that, and this returns the name, and this doesn't return the name. Description. Header with a div and h1. After that, I get what I want to render, and I say React DOM.render. The stuff that I want to render, the components, and where to render them. So this is normal document.getElement by ID. So in my HTML, I should have like a div or tag with the root ID because I'm using getElement by ID. Okay? And this is true. If you come here, you will say, this is my div. It's a div with ID root. Is it clear this one? So here we just grab it.
can we give this ID to the body tag?
Yeah, you can do like document.body.
Okay.
You can render it to anything. But this is not good because maybe the body is needed by other libraries. If you are using other libraries like CSS libraries and stuff, or JavaScript that inject like dynamic fragments, you will mess up their body. So it's always better to not just the body and have a separate div.
And the idea
If you go to a more professional like application, you understand. But this is the body is not just yours; it's for the whole.
And the idea it was to render single part of the web, so we can manage them differently.
Yeah.
So if you do render body, then it doesn't make sense to create in this way.
Could make sense. We will see different approaches. Let's just not relate them to the old stuff that we see. But if we come here, so I will remove the render. I will remove this render. Okay. That means I will not have anything. And in my HTML, I will have div with ID root. It's my normal HTML here. And it's empty. It doesn't have anything. It's empty. Okay? So essentially, if I will run this, it will take that root and construct real things. So from the div and h1, it will convert them to real div and real h1 for the browser and run them down here. So here we have div h1. And we can see here we have div and h1 inside the root.
But in reality, you will have different kind of file. So how does it know which div is the first? For example, the header is the first.
Let's do it more complex. Let's say header. Let's say I want a div here. Let's do this. I have a div with two headers. So I can. This is like code reusable. I can reuse code. I can render the same header twice instead of. Make sense? So if I will go here, I will have the div. So let's say we give this just one thing. In React, instead of using class equal, we use class name. Just remember this. There's nothing different. Why? Because class is used here. And it will be used here too. It will be mixed up. In the next version, maybe they will remove this. But anyways, this is why we use class names. Make sense? So we have class names. We have class name. And let's name it container. It's my container. So we have the container here, straight away inside the root, with two divs. This is the first header and this is the second header. This is clear? I know it's a bit. I don't know if Christopher or Shinwas wants to.
No. It's nice.
Okay. It was like really confusing for me, to be honest, in the beginning. What's happening?
I think
One
one
of-
of the most confusing things is that there's only one HTML page. However big your application is, there's
Yeah,
only
exactly.
one HTML page, and that goes against the concept that we've learned earlier about making multiple HTML pages. That there's only one now. Everything is rendered on the same page. If you go to Facebook and you go to another person's profile or go on a timeline, go on message, it's always the same HTML page. So it's different things are just rendered conditionally depending on where you go and all kinds of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So-
but the question is actually what exactly it is called. Like what is the thing?
Yeah.
It's called this single page application. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
have one
Yes,
single page.
yes, we forgot.
And if you click here, something comes and replaces it. It's same single page. If you click other places, then it will put content from other places and put it here. We have this index.html or whatever.
Is it like
One-
yeah,
once I tried to do that with JavaScript, and when you click the button, I do display none on the component.
That's the dirty way. That's the dirty way.
Yeah, I mean because I didn't want to create too much HTML pages.
Exactly, he's creating buttons up here.
Whatever change it is here.
Just push the
The right content in the right place.
Is it clear? So let's say that we have a header and we can create another component. This component called, let's create another component. Give us a name. That's maybe inside the header. No, I want something inside the header.
Like video,
What?
like the video that you
No,
But it's not inside the header.
Maybe
What?
that.
The menu?
Yeah,
But I don't want to write CSS. So let's say
Touch bar.
nerve bar. Touch bar. We don't want to spend 2 days.
Or search input.
Yeah, search input. Okay.
Why
Search-
is the capital letter at the beginning?
Because it's a class.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I forget to mention that. If you make it this lower than this. This will not work. React needs this to be React needs this to be capital.
Classes have to be.
Not classes, but React components need to be capital. Why? So React can differentiate between them and other things. Make sense? This is the only thing.
I might start with JSX, today,
Oh,
like
like React.
JavaScript example.
Yeah, JSX. Yeah,
Today or at some point in the.
we are like introducing JSX without really
You
like.
understand? Because you found the extension .jsx, we're using only JS.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's more of a convention. Like I don't follow that convention.
Yeah,
To
I
be
understand.
honest.
But do you know what is the difference? Have you looked at what is the extension here? Header dot
We can do it here.
JS.
Okay.
Okay. If you in a React ecosystem you found that extension as well.
JSX.
JSX. And I think he already mentioned that. What is the difference?
Yeah, like the P that will be transpiled to React create element and stuff.
Yeah, just it's good to know.
Yeah, it's really good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can name them like this. Some companies like I used to work in a company that does that, and this company that I'm working for that it doesn't do that.
So writing GS and GS.
Nothing is good or bad.
It's more of a convention.
Yeah.
You follow what you're seeing.
So we doesn't change anything. Yeah?
No.
But it's cool to have it at just.
Yes, and it's if you have really huge product with React and non-React things, JSX is really useful, so you can see exactly where React is and where there is just JavaScript files. If you have really huge, like jQuery mix it with React, or React mix it with another framework, or React mix it with business logic, a lot of classes and functions that's not related to React, JSX is really a good extension. But it's mostly, it doesn't really do anything in the sense that the runtime. But we will keep it like this here, just so you can see that it exists. Thank you for that. Yeah. So we will say import React from React, and we do this. Okay, and we say class search input extends React.component. We define our render.
Yes. Then,
and inside it we return something.
Maybe
Export, just a second, export default search input. Yes.
maybe just to show that you could also make the component as a named import like we showed before, so that you can just extend component directly.
Oh yeah, definitely. So you can do this. You mean this way?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good.
So you can remove the React.
Does that make sense?
I
Can you
think
do
it's-
this?
it's
So
different way.
React is default, component is not default. It's exported from the React. So the React code, the React file.
So you ask at React to take components from that object of React.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. So here we have component and we use it here.
It's better to use the one way when you do it.
It's something you come up with your team. It's not. It's like when you enter a company, they will say we use this, and you use it. There's nothing bad or good. You know what I mean? Like it's like yellow, red. It doesn't matter. You are wearing something. It doesn't matter. But is it clear? So here we can return. We can actually return a string. I will not do that. But let's return input here, and let's give it a placeholder.
Excuse me.
And the type.
Actually, it's search input extend from component, not from
React component. Yes.
React is a class, component is a class.
React is not class. React just an object
The object.
that holds a lot of stuff.
yes.
Like we remember when we had shape, and we put shape inside an object, and we
Yeah.
said s.shape. So React is just an object. React.component isn't class.
Is a property of
Precisely. So imagine that it's like this: const React equal component
yes.
equal
Exactly,
class
exactly.
Okay.
something da 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 da.
And when you write React.components, you can
There is
call
heading.
one
Yes.
The key.
Exactly.
You got the idea?
Okay. Yes.
This is the idea. And this one is saying export default React and export
React
component
component.
React.component. Kind of. Yeah. Clear?
Yeah, it's
So we have the input now, and the input is self-closing tag.
You don't declare the type.
Happy? We have a type now.
Yeah, because otherwise the input can be a button. I don't know if it defaults as a text, but
It's like you want an ID?
no, but the input has,
Last name.
Yeah.
the input
So-
has different types.
Yeah. So we have search input. We export it by default. Now we can import it here, and instead we can just say import search input from search input. Okay, and we use it like this. Okay,
you know the search input is below the.
it's below the H1 precisely.
H1 belong to header. H1.
And we can name it, placeholder text is like type search for something.
Okay, can you style it now? I just want to know how.
You are like, mother, I'll type, style it. Okay, let's give it a class name.
What is this class?
It's the same as class.
Okay.
Class name and class are the same. Let's
do we have ID here as well? Because
we have normal HTML things.
ID name like this.
ID, name, placeholder, type,
Okay,
data.
go ahead and explain.
So I will give it a class name.
Yeah.
Instead of, so technically in HTML you have this, but now we have this because we have also another class here.
Yeah.
So here I will say search input. Okay, I'll just name it search input. I will go to the index.html. I will say dot search input,
Just move the background color. Yeah. What is that?
or let's say box shadow.
Okay.
5 pixels, 0 pixel, 0, 0, 5 pixels, and we have RGB. Red, green, blue. We will give it black, so 0 essentially. 0 and 0 here, and the alpha we give it 0.8. And you can see here we have a shadow. And we say border, none. Padding,
I got it. Thank you so much.
5 pixels.
Rather good at designing something like. So do you have any design inspired?
I love design.
This is not design. This is the most shittiest input that I ever seen. Input with a shadow. it's disgusting. Clear? So this is how we do it. There is nothing special. You can give it an ID here or something.
Okay, if you want to give an ID, we will use ID name. Yeah.
No, just ID.
It's
It's only the class. Only.
It's because of that real class and the div class.
Yeah. If you name it this way, React will be confused between this one. Not React. I was going to be confused.
It's not intelligent.
I think it's working now because they've said that they will fix it. Yeah, they said I've read in the roadmap that they would fix it, but I think it's fixed now.
Oh, really? Does it work? Does it work? It's not-
Yeah, because I've saw on the roadmap someone was like in an issue that it seems to be
it's
working.
good. That's
But
fine.
use this because everybody's using this. So you don't want new things. You won't like take the people's page for it. This is it. So now if we go to the index, we have the index. We have a div with 2 headers. We remove this one. So we have header. Header is this one. Okay. And this one is importing search input and rendering search input.
So we don't need in the index.js, we don't need to declare on React DOM, we don't need to
No,
declare,
because we are only like teaching React that I want this, I want this, I want this.
this.
At the end, when I import everything, I just say now React, render it to the DOM.
And you don't even have to import it in the index.js.
No,
you
because
don't use it.
header is using it.
Mm.
You got the idea? It's like a tree. This one will import this one, and this one will import this one, and this one, like a tree. Any questions?
You don't talk too much. You ask too much.
Yeah.
I have a question. Imagine we find a website and we like some part of it. Is it any way we access to this component?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
This is out of scope, but there is something called React Chrome Dev Tool. So you can see here I have like hello message, timer and stuff. There's this, it's a Chrome extension.
Okay.
You install it
Mhm.
and it will show you the code for the components.
Good.
Like this. Timer, hello message and stuff. If you go to Facebook, it's full of components. If you go to Facebook and Twitter, because they are built using React, so there's a lot of components. Clear? It's just the internet is shitty, but it's React Chrome Dev Tool. It's a Chrome extension for React. You wanted to ask a question? No? Okay, anyone who doesn't really...
No, it was clear.
Was it clear for all of you?
It wasn't very difficult.
What?
It wasn't difficult.
It's not difficult.
No.
Yes, it's React. So I can continue? You're fairly comfortable with this? Cool. So now we can... So until now we have been discussing components and how to create components and how to render components. That is clear. So we can create as many components as we want. And for example, we can remove this one here and import it in this file and put it under this one instead of putting it inside that one. And it's fine. So we can compose components like Lego, literally. You have really, this is like really good analogy. So you need to, your components needs to be really small, like Lego pieces.
Yeah.
And you combine them. If you want another one, someone else can share with you his Lego pieces, and you can just use them. You cannot say, oh, your Lego pieces are built with another thing, I cannot use them. No, if it's React, it should be reusable. So all your components can actually fit everywhere and anywhere.
The good thing is, whenever we want to change something, we can just go to the component.
Precisely, you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
If you want to change the header, it's not fine. Instead of like looking at really long HTML, boring file. So now we're happy with React, but there is only one problem. The problem is like this stuff seems static. We want some dynamic things.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hello to my website, but I have a dynamic name. Hello to something. So if your component needs to be parameterized, or your for example, you have hello, you have like this header component, and the text, or let's say you have a search input here, and the placeholder, you want it to be dynamic. You don't want it to be static here. You can use something called props. So props or properties, like these ones, you give it to an input or a component. You can also, like as we discussed, give it to a component like this one. And you don't need to follow the, because this is not, this is H1, this is the browser one. I cannot say here test. I cannot do this. The browser will say test doesn't exist as a property.
No, what is test?
Like in H1 has predictable like any tag has like ID, class, data, accessibility, a lot of tags, but they are limited set of tags, attributes.
Yeah.
You cannot put anything. You cannot put hello me.
Because we don't have this attribute.
It's not useful, and you are doing something wrong, because you should not put this one here with the H1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But React components can access anything actually. You can give like anything. So here we can say
You convert to the object.
yeah. So here we can say exactly it will be an object. So here we can say input place holder, and we say for example placeholder, or we can just say x literally. The best practices const x equal.
Please repeat this part again.
Yes. So we defined a variable.
Yes.
And we pass it with this name to this component. Okay, we pass an attribute to it. Now in this component search input, I can access what was passed to me. So here I should have access to this one, to the input placeholder, because someone passed it to me, technically. And the way you access that is to use this.props. So if I will console.log here, this.props, I'll just do it before before returning. I will have an object, the same object that we discussed. that was passed as a second to React create element. It was an object with all the properties or the attributes. So this object, I can access it with this dot props. So this dot props, it's an object that has like everything inside or what was passed.
So you're asking what are the, before you declare the class, the placeholder, you are consoling log all the properties
That I received.
of each input.
Yes, I'm console logging the properties that I've received. So I can say here like one test, hello, test one, x, and I will have an object with the input, with the test one, with the test and test one. Is it clear a bit?
No.
So all the attributes that I pass here,
I didn't get why you are using this.
No, it's just explaining you what's the power of this.
You can customize.
Okay.
don't think too much about like, this is how we use, just try to understand the concept as I'm explaining it. So the power here is I can access attributes from the outside world. It's like a function. People can pass me parameters.
You mean you can make your attribute?
Make your attribute and also receive attribute. As a component like search input,
Okay.
it will receive attributes
Yes.
and access them inside the component's code. So here now I can say this dot props and take this input placeholder. And here now, if I will go to this one and say, instead of saying X here, search for something, I would say, hello, hello. This component will render hello, hello. So I can parameterize components from outside. Is this clear a bit? But just the way you should think about it is all the attributes that are or props that are passed here will be collected into one object called this.props. So this.props will be an object that has all the attributes. And I can say this.props.input placeholder, this.props.test, this.props.test1. Is it clear?
Also, you're asking to in the placeholder to get hello hello as a placeholder.
Exactly. So I can easily, I don't need to go to this component and change the placeholder here. I can just change this value. And the placeholder will change. It's like a function.
Yeah,
You can add A to B, and you don't need to hard code A to B. Every time you call it with a different A to B. Okay? We can create a component called add component. That's stupid. So let's say class add. I will just create it next. This is not a good convention, but I will just create it here. Extends React with component. Render. Return. So you can see that inside the return, I'm just wrapping in parentheses here. This is not something you need to do, but it just makes the code more clean. Okay, jumping lines and stuff. And you can see that every time I'm saving, so if I would do this and this, if I would save, it will be formatted by default. I use something called prettier. Just something that every time you save, it will change your code and make it more beautiful.
Beautifier.
There is beautiful, there is like, I use prettier. Prettier. It's out of scope. If you want to check it out, check it out. They have extensions for every editor. This is why what I'm saving is not fast or something. It's saving and it's auto formatting. It's called auto formatting. It will auto format the code. So here let's say const a equal this dot props dot a const b equal this dot props dot b return. Let's say span. Okay. And so we can say a plus b equal a plus b. This will not work, but just to give you a hint. So I can render this add component here. I can say add The only thing I need to move it to the top because I'm using it before. So I can have add, and I will give it A4, B 6. Okay. And this component, it will take the A. So this dot props dot A, it will refer to this A, because we said that this would be an object with key values. If we console.log this dot props A, B, you can see A and B, because we have A and B here. So this dot props will hold all the properties passing to this component. So we can delete this one, and I'll just convert this to P.
You can make a new variable.
What?
You can make a new variable for const. You call it C and.
Yeah. So const
Yeah.
C equal A plus B, for example. But it's literally showing A plus B equals C. It's literally showing text. Why? Do you get the idea? It's not showing. I want to show A like literally what was passed here and B.
Because you return the paragraph.
Yes, but I want inside the paragraph to have A and B and C, like what was passed to me. So to do that, if you don't have static fragments, you take this and you do it inside curly braces.
Exactly.
And now you can see that it's 4 plus B equals C, because B is not inside curly. So if you want JavaScript expressions,
The dollar, like the
so
dollar.
yeah, if you want plus, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you are doing 4 plus 5, it will give you 9. But if you do it like this, it will literally be text 4 plus 5. Literally. So if you want to evaluate JavaScript, run JavaScript, you say like this. And we can finally say A, B, C. We can just do this. I removed everything. Like, I was so like. Okay. And now we have this component, and we can render many of variation of this component. If you don't know how to do addition or something, this component is useful. Is it clear?
If you do 28 without the bracket,
Like
you
this,
will comment,
it doesn't work.
it doesn't work.
You need to do this. Except if you have string, you can do that.
Yeah,
It's
do
only
20
string.
Yeah, do 28.
Yeah, but that would be like 428.
Oh yeah, because it's just.
It will just calculate the JavaScript.
We will convert it to
Smart.
string.
Yes, it will be a string. So I would say I'm just trying to explain the concept of props. So you can actually make the component really reusable. The component will not be static. You can pass this to it and this to it. And is it clear?
You can put the component in the loop, for example.
Yeah, we can create a loop component that do a for loop and returns the keys and something. Yeah.
Just one loop as it's represented.
Yes.
For example, in a shop, there are
Precisely, exactly.
and also
Like the video list that we discussed. The video list. So
it's
instead
just
of
a loop.
yeah, it's just a loop with every time a video. You can even go further and create your own video component.
And
So you have video list of videos components.
and the data also comes from the props.
Yes, so you can pass for example the URL and it will fetch it. Or you can pass to it an array of videos. We can do that, let's do that. Sorry, so as the last exercise, let's say class list extends react.component. Render. I got sick of this. React, render. React. There is an alternative to this actually. We can discuss it after. It's the functional component. But yeah, so we have now just, this is the boilerplate class that extends React component and the render, and we return whatever we want to show. So let's say that this is a list. I always try to use the component before building it, so I see exactly what I'm building. And it will take items. It's an array, items. Okay? Or let's say products. Okay? We can say const products equal an array. Let's say product 1 2 and 3. Okay? We pass products here. So now I will just return null. If you return null, that means that the component will not return anything. It will just be this, nothing. It will not be that. So I can say console.log this.props dot what?
For the item.
Dot items.
Yes.
Dot
Key is
items. The key is items. The value is products. Okay? This should list me an array. So we can map over this array, or iterate over it, or for each, or for loop, or map, or reduce, or whatever. Normal JavaScript. And this is really a powerful construct of React. As you can see, React is just JavaScript. But a lot of other frameworks, they adopt the templating, they adopt the service and other things, where you are like really hooked into what they provide you. But with React, until now we didn't learn anything new. It's only we extend and we return, and it's just simple JavaScript. So now we can say this.props.items .map,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
And the map will give it a function, a row function to be more specific. It will be one item.
Yeah.
And we say let's return automatic return one expression. So let's say we have
Another component. You can?
we can definitely do that, but let's take it simple now. So instead of returning null, I will return UL because it's a list.
Okay.
And here I will say items.map li. And inside the li, what I want to put item. And they can just copy this and put it here.
Yeah.
But if we will do that, it will be like literally text. It will be like this, like it will appear like this, like literally.
Because
So-
you're doing the HTML.
Yeah, so we do it this way. We're wrapping in curly braces, and that will run JavaScript. If we save this, I have a list of products. We will discuss this warning after.
But if you create it before the UL, before the return,
I can do that.
Then you have the map. Okay, you save it in a variable.
Allies. That's allies. We can do this. So we are mapping over the items, and for each one we return an li. So we are making array. We are making an array of strings to an array of li's, and we render the li's here.
So why did you get the error?
Oh, this is not an error. This is a warning. It's working here. This is a warning. We will discuss the warning. It's working, product one. So if you will add another one here, if we will add another one here, product something 5, it will be product 1. Why it's the one? So there's a warning here. Each child in the list should have a unique key. So technically, each thing that you return in a loop, it should have a key. Okay? And key is some sort of an ID or a unique thing. that identify this component. Why? Because if you have a list like this, let's say you have a list of friends in Facebook. So if friends is going offline, it will be removed. If friends is adding online, it will be added. So the list is like there's stuff removed and added from the list. So maybe the fourth item would become the third one because you have 5 online friends, and the third one was like it's offline now. That means that the fourth and the fifth becomes the third and the fourth. So now like React will mix up everything, kind of. So we need to tell React a way to actually say this is me. So even if you will change the order of stuff, if the fifth will become the first, React will know that this one was the fifth before. Why? Because it has a unique ID. So always assign a unique ID. Here we don't have a unique ID. We can just say.
You can write item as well there. Because
We can do item, but
item is a unique one.
I know, but in
this sense.
in this sense, yes, exactly.
I mean, like not always true.
Okay.
In a large application, you can share the same name as your friend.
So what is your suggestion now?
Suggestion is to actually, instead of having normal array here,
And you cannot have a unique.
we can have like with ID 5 and
They are
text,
objects.
yeah, an object, and here you say item.text and item.id.
Yeah, perfect.
You got the idea? Or maybe if you have a
There
backend.
are other options. You can just map
Yeah, you
to
can
index.
use the index as well.
That's the dirty way.
Yeah, that's the better way.
Don't trust these guys.
What you said?
This.
The index, the idea is a new map. Like for example, you have items 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh.
A new map we already have an index.
Yes, you are.
So you can basically just use that index as well.
Yes.
So then it will be like the first item has item 1
Yes.
or 0.
Yeah.
Second item has. So if in that case, you can also get an unique ID. So that's the idea. Like you always that's the idea. And
Yeah.
it will be nice that your product have both ID and text,
Yeah.
ID and title.
Yeah.
Like if you have a backend, for example, you have been like working with databases. When you fetch stuff from the backend, they will have names and IDs, and you can use that ID from the backend as the key, for example, because it's unique to this specific post or user or list or
But
product.
now you have to call the index.
Which index? Oh yeah, because I'm using index. Yeah.
Okay, but what is the value of index?
It's the 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. It's the
It's
index.
already.
It's the for loop index because it's a map.
Yeah.
map has
Oh,
the-
okay.
Every item already have an index.
Yeah.
So,
I will take your advice and do that. And we have it now. So now I can render this list with a different thing. I can render it, for example, with the test 1, test 2. And I will have another list. Easily, I can just grab that component, pass it to another thing, and I have another list. I don't need to think, oh, I need another map for this. No. This is the power of component model. I will not say React, but the component model. React is just an example, implementation details. Clear?
yes.
Do you have any questions?
Does any like NPM that's already component?
What?
We have
NPM has a lot of components.
No, for React we have also ready component.
Yes, a lot. For example, there is Bootstrap for React.
Oh yeah.
There is a lot.
We don't even care about the Bootstrap.
Yeah, just yeah, this is like just any questions. Questions? You have questions? I can see that you want to ask a question.
No, not
Seriously?
yet.
But is it clear until now to some extent?
So we can develop that whole what's called YouTube website easily.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
can do it, but the important thing is how make it, when you add new things, it goes directly.
We are coming. We have 5 weeks.
Yeah.
We have 5 weeks. Take it easy. We have 5 weeks. Okay. We will go into building, and even we will have even like fetch calls and updating stuff. Literally like YouTube. So if you don't have any questions, you can go for your break for half an hour, or not half an hour, 20 minutes.
25,
Unless-
25 because it took only 5 minutes before.